welcome back. We're going to start on chapter 10 here, and we're going to talk about scatter plots. So just a little prior knowledge to help us out. So we're looking at some items that maybe are on a menu somewhere, okay? And they're telling me how many somebody ordered of each, okay? Or a lot of people ordered. So we have 18 hot dogs, 9 nachos, 36 hamburgers, 18 grilled cheeses, and 9 popcorns, okay? And what they want me to do is find the relative frequency. And we did this in Math 7. And what you do is you take the total number, which if I add all of these up here, that's a total of 90 items, okay, that were ordered all together. And then what we do in the relative frequency, which I did here, hot dogs, we did 18 divided by 90, which is 0.2. And now I'm going to do 9 divided by 90, which if you do that is 0.1. And then we're going to do 36 divided by 90. And that one I don't know off the top of my head, so I'm going to put it in, which would be 0.4. Okay. And then we're going to do 18 divided by 90, which would also be 0.2, and we already did that one up here actually. Okay, and then we're going to do 9 divided by 90, which again, if I do that in calculator, is 0.1. Okay. Now, what's nice about this is if we add up all of these, the 0.2 plus 0.1 is 0.3, plus 0.4 is 0.7, plus 0.2 is 0.9, plus 0.1 would be 1 whole, if we add all those up, okay? Which means I got all 100% of my numbers, which is a good thing. So that's just some prior knowledge we'll use later in our chapter, okay? So this is the real 10.1. We're going to go ahead and skip the warm-up. So scatter plots are a bunch of points of data on a graph, but they're not connected by a line, okay? So these are examples of scatter plots here. So we have positive linear, so that means if we were to draw a line through them, we can see our slope would be positive, just like if we were graphing a line, okay? Here the slope is negative. There's a general sense of negative. Here there's no real association, right? They're all over the place, okay? So this would be no association. Okay, and then remember we have nonlinear, right? It's curved. We've talked about these before. And here's nonlinear, curved upwards, right? So we can have positive, negative, linear, well these would be linear, nonlinear, and no association, right? So hopefully those are kind of in the back of your head from before. Okay. So we're going to plot a scatter plot here. So it says sometimes you'll be given 2 different tables. Both tables will go on one of the same graph. So sometimes we just have so much information that it's in 2 different tables, but we're actually going to plot it together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the angle of incline, okay? And that's going to be on my x-axis. And we're looking at speed on our y-axis here. I might need to move those out of the way here. Oops. Okay, now if I'm looking at my angle of incline, I'm going to do that in blue. I'm going to look at my smallest number. It looks like maybe 0 is my smallest number, and 14 maybe is my biggest. Yep, so it looks like I can count by ones down here, not too bad. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. Now I counted just by 2s every other line just so I don't have so many numbers crammed in there. Okay. And then if we look at speed, we have a lot of decimals. Okay. And I'm looking and I'm seeing maybe my smallest decimal is 1.6 and my highest is 6.2. Now since there's some decimals in there, I'm going to skip a line for the half. Okay. So we're going to start at 0 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So each in-between line would be a half. Okay. So when you're trying to graph a scatter plot, you really want to make sure you have a nice spread of the data. You don't want everything crammed down way down here and have a bunch of graph left over up here. So you really want to make sure we're looking at our axes and saying what is the best spread for this data. And then I'm just going to plot each one at a time here. So I'm going to erase my little marks here. So I'm going to plot the point 6, 4.6. So 6, 4.6, It's going to go somewhere right about there. Whoops. Sorry, guys. 6, 4.6. Sometimes it's a little fussy when I try and draw a dot. Okay, and then I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to keep plotting all of these, okay? So 12, 2. So you can go ahead and go ahead of me. You might even fast forward through this video if I'm going too slow for you. 4, 5. So I'm going to start crossing them off so I don't get messed up. So 10, 1.6. And it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, just enough so we can see some of the information. 9, 3. 6, 4. 7, 3.4. 11, 3. 0, 6.2. Oops. Okay, so then I'm just going to move right on down to this one, okay? So 14, 2. 2, 6. 9, 4. 2, 5.4. 3, 6. 10, 2.6. And we're starting to definitely see a pattern here. 3, 5, we're almost done here. And then 5, 4. Okay, so I've done all of these. Now it didn't specifically ask me anything about this, but just so I get some practice, I would definitely say this is linear. There's a clear line. Okay, so this is linear. And this would be negative. Okay, because we're going downwards, right? We always read it from left to right, just like if we were reading a book. Okay, so that's how you plot a scatter plot, especially if you have more than 2 or more than one table given to you. You just kind of keep right on rolling. Unless these were like different names or something like that, then you would have 2 different graphs. But if they're the same exact title, top to bottom like that, you can plot them all on one graph. Okay, let's move on here. I think I'm going to go ahead and skip this just to save time on the video. If you do feel like you need another one, let me know. What I will do is I'll just do the axes part because I think you guys are fine with the plotting. So again, remember this is mass down here. Okay, and I would look, I can see maybe my smallest one is 100 to 600 here. Okay, so I might count every 2. So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. Oops, my 5 was a little funky there. 600. So again, I kind of skipped some lines so I had plenty of room, and I used up more of my graph. I probably could have even skipped every other, or 2 lines in between, okay? I'm going to do the same thing with the length of the spring. So I'm seeing a 13, anything smaller than 13. So I'm seeing a 13.5, and my highest might be 27. Nope, 28. Double check here. So again, I have some weird decimals here. So I might count by 2s just because we're trying to go from 13 to 28. Okay, so I'm still gonna, what I can do actually here too is I can draw this little squiggle to show that I'm gonna skip some data so that way no one misses what I'm doing. And then I might just start here at 13 and then just count by 1s. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And sometimes in your homework it will give you what the best range is to do this in. So it might say, well, each line should be a half, or each line should be 1 whole, or each line should be, 2 or whatever. Okay? So that's how you would spread out that data. And again, you would just plot all those points. Okay? So if you want to do that for practice, that would be great. Okay? Now, sometimes patterns will start to appear, and those are called associations. So strong associations, we can see these points are almost on top of each other, okay? They're very, very close together. If I were to draw a line, they're very, very close to that line. Okay, so that's strong association. Weak association, we can still see kind of a pattern going on here. We can see it's kind of in a positive correlation there. But the points are starting to get a little farther away from that line. They're not as tight as in this first one. And then no association, I can't tell if it's going this way, that way, anything. They're not close to any particular line. Okay? So again, here's kind of each one broken down into words for you. So a positive would be where they're really kind of close together going up like this. Okay? Negative is where they're going downward really close together. Okay, linear would be just a straight line again. And then nonlinear would be some sort of curve, right? But they're going to be very tight to that curve. Okay, so something like that. So again, positive, negative, linear, nonlinear. Okay, and we can interchange those 4 names for different graphs depending on what's going on, okay? And again, weak just means it's still going in a certain direction, but it's harder to tell they're not as close to that line. So for your exit slip, go ahead and pause the video and tell me, what is the association? Is it positive, negative, linear, nonlinear? Is it strong, weak, or no association? Okay. And in this case, I would definitely say we have a positive, and I would say this is very strong. Okay. It is very, very tight together, very close to that line. Okay, go ahead and try your